A few days ago I uploaded a video to the channel showing me moving my tomato plants up from yoghurt pots into 3-gallon fabric bags. It's my intention to grow those tomatoes on now in my 8-foot by 6-foot polycarbonate greenhouse. And since I've uploaded that video, I've had a couple of questions. There are some things that I didn't mention and some things that I perhaps should have, and I'm going to cover that now. Okay. But before I do that, I'm going to cut you back to a very short clip from that original video that shows me removing these yoghurt pots from the fibre bag to leave a perfect planting hole, and then me planting the tomatoes in that hole. Now, two things I want you to take notice of: just how deep the tomato plant is set in the bag, and the fact that these guys have got holes in them. Watch that video, then come back to me. Well, that didn't take long, did it? I've still got my tea left. Did you notice the holes in these yoghurt pots? There's a story behind that. It's just a short one, so I'll give you it and then we'll move on. Some years ago I got the idea that maybe air pots were the way to go. If you don't know what an air pot is, if you search on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find videos of gardeners growing in air pots. I think the thing that put me off air pots was I wasn't too sure if they worked, but mainly the price. They are expensive. So I made my own. Bit of an Heath Robinson, but I made my own. I drilled some holes in those yoghurt pots. And the idea was I'd grow small plants in these pots, and before I moved them on into a bigger pot or into the raised bed, I would expose the root ball and we would check one against the other. One that's grown in an air pot, an homemade air pot, and one that was just grown in a yoghurt pot. It's that long ago since I've done that, I can't actually recall the outcome of those trials, but I did them. I've kept hold of them. But now I've found another use for them. They're excellent for irrigating pots and bags before you plant something in them. What I did with these was, as you could see from the video, I set them into the soil, but what you didn't see on the video was at some point before I shot that video, I filled these with water and it just came out, and we irrigated the soil in the fabric bag inside out. So when I popped the tomato plant in, there was no need to water. Everything was wet. Anyway, that covers these perforated yogurt pots. The tomato plants, yeah, when I planted them, they are about 2 to 3 inches down from the top of the bag to where the stem leaves the soil. It's my intention now to top that up, put more soil in the bag so the tomato plant is actually planted deeper, and when it sends out those roots further up the stem, they'll be in soil. We'll have a better root ball, and because I'm watering the tomato plants from the top, then roots at the surface would be good to have, wouldn't they? Yeah, okay, I'll put this to one side. You haven't seen these guys, have you? I made these a couple of years ago when I was growing in water buckets, but they're a perfect fit for the bags as well. This serves a number of purposes. Imagine the plant growing through that. This is weed membrane, by the way, so I can pour water on that and it'll go into the soil below. And one of the problems you have with tomatoes is, if you're not careful when you water your tomato plants and you splash the bottom leaves, if there's anything in the soil that will aggravate the tomato plant, then it will. It's on the leaves now, and sometimes you can damage the bottom leaves or maybe even lose the plant if you just splash loads of water about there and loads of soil finishes up around the stem and on the bottom leaves on the plant and even on the fruit. So I made these. We're going out now to finish a couple of tomato plants. I'll show you exactly what I mean and how I use these. And the other thing I'm going to do is we're going to pop into the greenhouse and I'm going to show you how I support my tomato plants. That's a question I'm often asked and I'll answer that in this video. Okay, let's go outside. Okay, I've already told you what I'm going to be doing next, so I'll stop talking. I'll do what I said I'm going to do and we'll play you a little music. I'm going to add this soil. I've got 4 yogurt pots full of soil for each bag, and then I'll be fitting that protector, the garden fabric protector. Okay, if I can just get my fingers in here like this, you'll see that we're that far down from the top of the bag. So I can put that amount of soil in now, bringing it up the stem of the tomato, so that any roots that want to form on that stem can, and they will be in soil. Right, enjoy the music, enjoy this little clip. Didn't take long, did it? Okay, time to go in the greenhouse. So you're looking at the underside of the greenhouse roof now, and what I've done is I've secured a bamboo the full length of the greenhouse roof. I've secured it to the underside of the roof, and off that bamboo I've hung these strings, one for each of the tomatoes. So we're going to be growing up strings this year. I did it last year and it worked, and I've given it another go. There's still a lot of work to be done in here. I still have quite a bit of work to do with these tomato plants, but on the other side of the greenhouse I've got 3 that are in their stations, and the strings are in place. So I'll just turn this camera around now and show you what they are. These strings are in place now. As you can see, they're a bit more taut. They're fastened top and bottom. They're fastened at the top on the bamboo that I've just showed you, and on the bottom I've got them fastened to a bamboo that I've actually fed through the handles of the fabric bags. So at this point in time the tomato is not fixed to this twine, it's just standing, growing. As it gets bigger we need to loosen the twine off at the top and twine it around the tomato plant to give it that support. That's how this system works. So it's tied off at the top, but it's tied off in such a manner that it's easily slackened off to give that slack to enable this twine to be twined around the tomato plant and then tightened again to give it that support. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Just before I sign off, I hope you can see those yogurt pots in between the 2 fabric pots. That's another use I've found for those yogurt pots. These fabric pots are 10 inches diameter, what the tomatoes are growing in. The yogurt pot is about 5 inches deep, and lying on its side that spaces those bags out by 5 inches. And with a tomato plant in each of those bags, that makes the centre between the tomato plant and the tomato plant about 15 inches. So if nothing else, these tomato plants are equally spaced. We've put the effort in to make sure we do that, and they're equally spaced at 15-inch centres. Right, you must have had enough by now. I've had enough of videoing. I've got a lot of work to do in here and I want to crack on with it. So this is Homegrown Veg signing out.